Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Not Your Daddy's podcast. I am the host of the podcast, Theoni, or Theoni the Lender, as most of you guys know me. So in this series of a podcast, we're going to be diving into local businesses from Lewis, Delaware to West Ocean City, Maryland. As most of you know, I live in Bethany Beach, Delaware. And I'm super excited to share the success stories and not so great stories and just everything in the middle of every business from north to south, I guess, right? On the shore. So first up, of course, I am going to be interviewing my husband because who better than the entrepreneur himself and also local down here himself. So I'm from Baltimore, but of course we moved down here and Philip knows all things local. So this is going to be a really exciting podcast. I've never interviewed my husband before. I'm sure most of you guys haven't either. So I'm really excited to dive in here. So welcome, Philip.
Well, happy to be here.
Perfect.
Thanks for inviting me to your podcast.
Of course. You're the first member. You should feel very special.
Oh my God, I feel very special.
Okay.
The most special.
So I have a couple questions that I've curated, but most of them have just been from over the years that I've stored inside my brain. So I'm super excited for this because you don't even know what's coming for you. But
she didn't let me see the questions.
No, I didn't. I did not.
I did ask.
I did not. So Philip is a true entrepreneur. I mean, when I first started dating him, my friends would always ask, like one does, what does he do? And it was really tough to put into words what Philip did then. And since I've met him, he's just added on to that resume. So I'm going to let Philip kind of in 15 seconds give the people a glimpse of what exactly it is that you run, what kind of businesses you're involved in, and when you started them.
All right. So first off, I have a few family businesses that I help run with my mom down here in Rehoboth Beach. So we have a cafe and a shipping store, and we also have a restaurant in downtown Rehoboth. So that's a caviar and vodka bar. It's been open since 2001. We have the largest vodka selection in the nation, so that is very cool, and I call that my fun job. I mean, they're all fun, but it's just one of the other fun ones. But I do that Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, so it's not like a 40-hour-a-week type job. And then I have a couple of businesses I run myself, one being a media business that started as just drones, but now I do marketing for real estate, mortgage companies, detailing companies, all around just small businesses, service businesses, restaurants, and all the above. And then recently I acquired a detailing shop, so now I do luxury detailing, ceramic coating, and paint protection as well. So that's all I got right now, and there'll probably be some more here soon.
That's crazy. So tell people, what is the inspiration behind all of these businesses that because I mean, they're all random. It's not one industry that you're really... but what is the common theme of all of those businesses?
So me personally, I like businesses that don't have lots of overhead. So I like businesses that almost cost nothing to start and to run. And you're pretty much running just mostly profit because you're just charging for your labor or your knowledge or just knowing something someone else doesn't know or doesn't want to learn on their own. So I like having different ones, so I don't get bored. So I like to switch it up and do new things.
Love it. So let's talk a little bit about kind of just back when you were younger, because this has been a thing that I am very much trying to figure out now is what fuels me. So what was it when you were younger that you believed you were going to have, the life that you live now, which is an entrepreneur, have these different businesses? Can you pinpoint a time when you were young, or what excited you when you were a kid about what you do now?
So when I was a kid, I didn't know what I really wanted other than I saw my parents just have multiple businesses, running them, having a lot of fun, being able to almost make their own schedule, but I thought they worked a little bit too much. So I wanted to do the same thing, have the businesses, maybe even have some more businesses, but actually be able to manage my time and be able to do more things, spend more family time, spend more time at home, because that's a lot that my parents didn't get to do.
Okay. So was it just the day to day that you just remember, as a kid, you had so much fueled and just filled in your day to day that you just didn't see your parents? Or do you think it was a combination of them working and you just being a kid?
Well, I think it was really a good thing because I got to watch them work because I didn't have to sit there and work when I was sitting at their shop or their businesses, but me and my brother were doing our own thing. So we would, sometimes we did try to help out, and we put a tip jar out at a shipping store where no one normally tips. But of course, that was us trying to make some money. We knew we weren't going to get paid at the family business at whatever, 6, 7, 8 years old, but we knew how to run some blueprints through the copy machine, and we actually loved to do it. And we would get excited when someone would come in for prints because we knew how to do it. So I don't know, I thought of work a little differently. So it didn't seem like work. Like family business was just like what we did. So like if I walked into the store and they were busy, I just knew that I was gonna help in some way. And then when I had my free time, me and my brother learned how to build websites and learn on the internet a long time ago. So that's where I kind of started to learn more about entrepreneurship and seeing all the different businesses, or I didn't even know if they were businesses at the time, but just revenue sources that were potential.
I love it. And Philip and I obviously have that commonality that we, both come kind of from that family-run businesses. However, we did get paid for our time because our business structure is a little bit different. The restaurant that Philip and his mom have up here is very small compared to Acapella, which I'm sure if you know me, you know that's a lot bigger, different business mindset and strategy. But that's where Philip and I really can connect on many levels, because a lot of people don't understand the background of when you work with family and the lessons that you learned. So kind of segueing into another question I have, what is one of the hardest things that you encounter when you run a business with family?
Shoo, that's a tough one. Family is the worst and best people to work with at the same time for many different reasons. But the hardest thing would be that, like, not getting mad at each other.
And letting it overflow.
And being able to come back the next day and do the same good job, put the same smiles on our faces, smiles on our customers' faces, and be able to keep doing it. Because if it wasn't family, it would be a lot harder to come back and keep doing it. But we're a smaller place, so me and my mom, we work very, very closely. So I'm cool with it. I like it, but it can be tough sometimes.
Would you ever want to own a business with Costas?
Yes. I would hope that he would want to run a business with me, but he might not want to. I mean, at the same time, I started my own businesses on top of what my family had. So I guess I did want to do something my own way and at least try it.
And do you think that you feel like you've learned a lot from also owning your own businesses just as much as you have with family? Like, is there a sense of security at all that you get when you work with family versus when you just do things on your own?
Oh, definitely. I mean, working the family business, you might learn how to work hard, all the work ethics and all that stuff. But when you run your own, you actually learn the stuff you didn't get to see, the stuff that is the most important running a business, which is all the stuff you don't see, which is how much things cost, how much your time costs, how much time is actually spent to make the money you make. And you don't really get that until you jump into it, or until you're actually doing the work, or when you have to find someone else to do the work and you still have to try to make money somewhere. So, I mean, everyone just thinks it's just making money, but you have to be able to make money without spending it all. So that's the hard part. Everyone loves to spend money, me included, but you have to really make more if you really want to start spending.
Okay, so my next question for you would be, What are you really good at in business? What would you say like an asset that you bring to the table would be?
I think I can market just about anything, and either as long as I get excited about it, it's something that interests me, it's something that's new with the times and modern, I can get crazy excited about it and learn way more about it than anyone else is willing to learn. And I'll keep doing it and stay up countless nights until I become the best at something. And that's what I like to do. I mean, I got a chemistry degree just to say I could do it. And I watched my own friends quit because it was hard, and it sucked. And I was not the type of person that would ever become a chemist, but I still finished it because I wanted to prove to myself that I could, even though I knew I probably would never use it again.
Wow. So I love that, because the next question I have is, what do you think, or what are you working to become better at? What are you really bad at right now that you want to be better at?
So my newest thing is just trying to get better and better with my time. And I tell everyone that once we had a baby, I really had to start learning how to manage my time, which was one thing I never did. I never planned anything, never had a schedule. Everything was kind of just like, well, I got this today, this tomorrow, and I kind of just hoped that I could keep up with it. And I was pretty good at it. But once you have a kid, you really have to make a schedule if you want to get things done, or you just won't get anything done ever, which is cool at the beginning, but then you really have to start getting things done.
Yeah, absolutely. So you became a dad pretty young, right? Relatively, I guess. I'm younger than him.
I'd like to think I'm young.
Yeah. So a lot of people want to do this entrepreneur life. They want to jump into owning their own businesses. You had an advantage because you grew up in that. So like, that's all you've ever known. You, for a short period of time in your life, though, did work at an
I worked for an oral surgeon,
not
for a long
orthopedic.
time. I mean, I wanted to be a dentist. I told myself I wanted to be a dentist my whole life, but I don't know if I actually really tried to do it other than just say that I was going to. But I knew I just wanted to own a business, run a business, and be a business person, even though I didn't know what that was before I started.
Yeah. So recently, Matt Miller is our branch manager. We talk about reverse engineering, and I feel like that's exactly what you've done. And a lot of it is learning as you go. So when you became a dad, back to that, what is like the biggest piece of advice that you could give somebody who is also trying to jump into this world of, it could even be real estate, right? Because real estate is such a hot industry and it has been for so long, that people want to jump into. What is that piece of advice that somebody could implement today if they are looking to also be a young parent? Because it's truly fun, even though it makes me want to pull my hair out a lot. What is that like maybe you wish you would have said to yourself a year and a half ago?
It all comes back to managing your time. Once you manage your time, it's like creating time out of thin air that you never thought you had before. And whether that's waking up early, going to bed earlier, or just actually sitting down and getting work done when you want to, and then taking a break when you have to, because I tell everyone that you can't work 8 hours of a day doing anything at full capacity. You have to either take a break, switch it up, do something else for a while, and that's what I gotta say.
Okay, so but I'm talking what was the game changer for you? Like for me, it was our shared calendar. Like I would say that was the game changer for me. Because
so what part of time?
Yes, what exactly, if somebody was listening to this, what exactly could they listen to, and then they could go after they listen to you just say this thing and implement today?
That's a tough one. So I would say that the thing you should implement today to, I guess, magically get more time, like I say it, is like Fiona said, the shared calendar. That's a big help. But on top of that is actually writing down a list of the things that you need to get done. And that can be on a calendar, that can be on a reminders, it can be on a notepad, anything. But you can't get all your stuff done if you don't even know what stuff you have to do. And you can put them in an order that you'd like or whatever. But I mean, if you just have this magical list in your head of things that need to get done, you're never going to get them done. because you don't even know where to start.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So
Is that good?
yeah,
Did you like that?
yeah, I really like that. I want, it's really hard to be a young parent. It's really hard to be a young entrepreneur, but I'm learning that you have to pick the hard. It's really, really easy to sit on my phone in the morning when Philip takes a baby and scroll on my phone, but it does nothing for me, and so it's like choosing your hard. You guys have all seen those memes before. So I feel like with time management, that's something that I'm still trying to figure out too, because as a mom, my responsibilities when Kostas was first born were like tenfold what they are, today. I was legitimately giving my body, up for him multiple times a day, and I like all day, all night. The days just flow. There is no schedule. The first 3 months at least, just don't even try. Give yourself grace too if you have a kid during that time. But time management is just such a big thing, and especially if you don't get it if your time isn't managed well before you have a kid, it is going to be really, really hard to then manage it when you do have a kid. And Philip and I got married and we had a kid, so it was our first year of marriage and Kostas' first year of life in the same year. So that was like really hard, for us. And so segueing to my next question is, what would you tell previously married Philip about the first year of marriage, if you could give him a piece of advice?
Oh my God. I don't know. The thing would be to just show up as much as you can.
Okay.
In the whole and life. And that's everything. That's household. That's everything. Just staying on top of all of that, whether it's emotions or just trying to get through as Theone says, the roommate phase.
Yes, it's literally, you become roommates with your significant other that you have a kid with. You do. It's true. Because you just live under the same roof. Your world is rocked because life as you knew it just changes. You come home and you have this, thing that you love so much that you're taking care of, and you just don't even know how to do anything anymore. Your routine is totally gone. And so you're just starting from ground zero. And usually people will iron out the wrinkles their first year of marriage, and then, they'll have a kid. We did both at the same exact time. So it was trying to figure out this marriage thing and, everything that
we're
comes with that.
We're just saving time, like I was saying, we're just creating time instead of doing them at separate times. We just combined them. Just figured it's gonna be twice as hard, but we'll get it done twice as fast.
Did though, and it was really, really, really hard.
And now we're making a podcast, which we would never do last year.
No, oh my gosh, we would have never done.
Even though we probably talked about it.
Wow. What was one of the hardest challenges that you ever overcome in your life?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It would be trying to not even take over. Help out the most with the family businesses while I was still in college and my father passed away. That would be the hardest one.
What do you think you learned from that time that you live out day in and day out? Like what do you feel like that taught you? Which, I mean, was a terrible thing that happened that taught you something. But what is one thing that comes to mind when you think of that time and overcoming it?
Well, right now I think I can do just about anything, and that nothing really that hard. So not really scared of anything anymore, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, Philip is trying to teach me that, because I always say this, and I've said it to Philip many times. I never had something like that happen in my life, and so it's scary for me to think that maybe it's just because it hasn't happened yet. And for you, losing your dad so early on, I feel like that is probably one of the worst things that could happen to somebody. And I almost envy the things that you have taken away from that, because you lead your life with such I'm not scared to do anything, and you just said it. And Philip and I work so well because of that. I am somebody who's very ambitious for sure, but like I'm terrified of death. I remind myself 5 times a day now, though, with an app that I'm going to die one day. And I know it sounds crazy, but, you know, Philip and I could never talk about this for a very long time. Like your dad's death was something that I tiptoed around because I didn't know how to talk about it. But now we're married. I see how that changed you so much to be such an amazing dad, such an amazing husband. Like you want to be all these things. And I feel like that's rooted in that really terrible time that, you know, you went through. And so people don't talk about it because it's such a sensitive time. And I'm proud of you for even saying that. But I really want to know, like, you know, what I'm glad that it taught you not to be scared. But in what way, right? Like, is it to start a business because it doesn't matter if you'll fail or not? Is it your idea behind failing at something you try? Like, what exactly are you not scared of anymore?
Pretty much failing anything. I mean, I've failed school before. I've failed driving before. I've crashed things.
This is where it gets juicy, you guys.
I've failed lots of businesses. I've failed lots of relationships. I've failed lots of things. So, I'm not a person that learns the first time. So I have to fail like 3 times and like it really has to hurt before I learn it. And like now I'm getting better at that. So now I learn things a little bit more efficiently, I think. But like I really had to fail at everything just to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what I'm good at, what I should never try ever again. But there's lots of things that I don't give up on. So,
okay, what things do you not give up on?
Oh my God. I try to stick to always trying to not just learn something new. Everyone says they want to learn something new every day, whatever it is. But I actually want to implement something new every day. And it's whether it's something I heard in a podcast that day, in a book the other day, whatever trainings I'm currently doing because I'm crazy and I just want to know more than everyone else and be good at what I actually do. But I don't know. I lost track.
Okay, so today, what did you implement?
What did I implement today? Well, I got on a podcast today, which I have never done before, and I probably would have not done before, but I did want to, and now I'm here doing it.
Perfect. I love that. Okay, so we hear the phrase, and this is one of my favorite phrases, one of my favorite quotes. Everybody would die for their kids, but would you live for your kid? And what does that mean for you? What does that quote in itself mean to you?
Live for your kid. Well, I would think that to me it means just being able to live with my kid. Actually being able to live life with my kid, not just live with him. Like, I want to take him everywhere, experience everything with him, even if he doesn't remember it, because I know we will, and we've already tried to do that, implement that, and I think we're just going to keep doing more of that.
I love it. For me, dying for your kid is really easy. I think that people say, you know, I would die for my kids because I think it's easy. I think living for your kids is really, really hard. I think that
Isn't that what people do when they just hide and go to work all day and then leave their kid and then don't ever get to see their kid and just go to bed and redo it all over again, and then they wonder where all that time's gone and they never got to live with their kid, which is what I was trying to say.
Yeah. I'm more so like, when I hear that quote, I think of that, but I think of it in terms of self-care. If I am not living, like truly living a good, healthy life, I'm not living for my kid. I can't take him to the park if I'm obese. I can't play with him if I am out of shape. I can't show up in the way that I want to show up if I'm not, you know, if I don't have my mental hygiene.
Yeah, mindset, just happiness, just looking happy, smiling,
but
not
actually
walking
doing
around
the work.
with a frown. And
Yes, but actually doing the work.
because kids see that.
Kids see it. Oh my gosh. The last year has been, you guys, especially if you're a nursing mom, I feel like it's we could, we're going to probably hit some hot topics here because Philip and I have some strong feelings on parenting and, babies in general. That could be a whole other podcast, but especially I think if you're a nursing mom or really any mom, but because I nursed for so long, if you're upset, your baby's going to have a bad day. If you're happy, your baby's going to be happy. We had a really colicky baby. Kostas was not a happy baby the first couple months of his life. And I think a lot of that unfortunately had to do because Philip and I were not in a great place. Like we didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to talk about how we felt. We didn't know I didn't know what I needed. He didn't know what he needed. And so obviously, there were some things that he really had an issue with, but I think a lot of it was how I felt and how he felt because of the way I felt. Like he was just feeding my energy. And so the last year I have taken that quote of everybody says they would die for their kid, but would you live for your kid? And I have just jammed it into my head as a constant reminder of if I'm not taking care of myself, I'm not even going to enjoy the time that I get to be at home with him because we're at home with him a lot. But if I don't take those breaks for myself, if I don't brush my teeth every night, if I don't wash my face every night, if I don't get one shower a day, if I don't do things for myself, I'll be there with him all day anyway, but I won't truly be present. And that is a big difference. So will you talk a little bit about being present versus being there and showing up? Because you said that a piece of advice would be, just to be there. And
well, yeah, it's not just being there because you could the reason why we have a babysitter now is because we figured out that just being there and trying to do work, you can't be there and actually be 100% present and interactive and all that with a kid while trying to get something done. It's not impossible. That would be a lie, but you really cannot work fast at all. I mean, you lose track. You have to get up and do things and lose things. Sometimes you might get a little hand that wants to slap your computer and then everything gets turned off. You might lose stuff. You might have to restart many times. So that does happen. So to be fully present, you're not fully present if you're completely looking at your phone or trying to do something on your computer. Because I'm one person that says you can't multitask 100%.
Even though I disagree, but
I know you can do multiple things at once, but you can't do them all to capacity. And the same thing with having a kid. You have to actually give that 100% while you're doing it, or the kid will know. Ours does. He's actually recently, if I look at my phone, he'll come up behind me and just start slapping my back. And then I have to turn around and I see that he's there. So if he already knows that, I don't want him to keep saying that. So
yeah,
that's my cue to start getting off my phone when I'm supposed to be giving him all my attention.
Yeah. And it's really hard, you guys. Give yourself grace through all this because we don't know what we're doing. And I feel like sharing this and just talking about it isn't normalizing the action, but it's normalizing that it happens. And it's really hard because in a world of our household is just filled with entrepreneurial vibes. So our household is just do. And then, hey, here's an idea. Can we figure this out? How do we figure it out? So there isn't really a time that we have allocated, at least yet. I mean, we're working on it, that we just don't do, right? We're constantly bouncing off of each other. And I think Kostas is going to be really great about it just because, I feel like that's going to be his nature too. He's seeing firsthand how entrepreneurial households work, but it's a little scary when we have so much that we could be doing that we don't ever allocate time to just not do anything. I have told you this many times, but I'm trying to lean into meditation for that reason, to figure out and find out how exactly my body reacts to silence. I don't even know how to do that. And it's really scary that I can't silence my mind. It's not something that can happen. I don't really know how to do it. How do you do it?
how do I silence my mind? I actually really embrace silence, and it drives you
I know.
crazy.
I hate it.
But I actually
Car
like,
rides with no music. Have you tried it? Because it's crazy.
yes, I actually like doing that. And I can go on long drives with no music at all for long periods of time. And she thinks I'm crazy for it. But that's when I actually think. That's when I really get those, when I can really actually start thinking about something. And sometimes I could be like listening to a book or a podcast and I'll pause it and I'll start thinking about something while I'm driving or doing anything. And and then I'll look back at the time or whatever. And I was like, whoa, I haven't had this playing for the last, whatever, 15, 20 minutes. And it's like almost like going to like a different world for a little bit. And then I turn it right back on and I'm right back in it. So it really helps me. And I just love that, having a little bit of silence here and there.
Well, I'm working on it. All right. I want to talk a little bit about the businesses before we end this. So let's talk a little about Azureye Media. I freaking love that company, even though he says he owns it by himself. I like to think that I was like a little bit of the inspiration of it, and like still am, because I feel like I plug in ideas, here and there. Of course. So what gap does Azureye fill?
Azureye helps you be more efficient with your business so you can actually keep focusing on what you actually do for your business, because you shouldn't have to be a marketer, a business owner, an accountant. You don't have to wear all the hats of your business, because once you actually start divvying out all those different parts of the business is when you can actually get really good at what you do. Because if you're trying to do all the different things, it is going to be impossible. So that's what Azureye does. Azureye actually helps you with your marketing systems. So whether that is how you organize your clients, your leads, your past clients, customers, everything, or just setting up an online presence where people are actually excited to see your brand online, showing up on social media and all that stuff, and being able to post things you're actually proud of instead of just posting because you have to or you think you should to stay relevant. So you're not just wasting your time, because like we're going back to it, it's all about being efficient. And the more efficient your business is, the more money you'll make. And that's pretty much how it goes.
Love it. So walk us through just very briefly on the evolution of Azureye.
So I tell this story so many times, but Azureye started as my excuse to buy a $1,000 toy, which would be a drone. So I wanted to buy a drone and start making money off it as soon as I got it, because I don't know. I actually told Theoni this recently, but I said that like I wasn't really much of like a video game person, but when it comes to like the drone and having a controller and doing all that's my version of a video game, and I like it way more because it's the way I can fly up in the sky and actually make money for it. So that's how I started. I guess there's more reasons than one, but it was also my excuse to get up for sunrise. So I was never an early morning person, but having a drone and not wanting other people to see me while flying the drone, I started getting up earlier to be able to capture the sunrise, fly the drone without people asking a million questions. And that's how I learned that you take way awesome pictures if you take it during sunrise or sunset, as opposed to just the peak sun hours of the day. So it just constantly kept growing from there. I kept going, waking up for sunrise. People started noticing. They started asking for pictures of real estate, rentals, small businesses, everything. And I started doing the photos. And then I started to see that I was pretty good at photos on the ground too. And it was getting really hard to find photographers to do it for me. So I learned how to do that as well. So then I started going full out into real estate, doing the whole listing packages, doing their listing photos, doing their drone photos, and kept growing from there because the market started evolving so much into more video, more social media, more lifestyle style videos. And that's what, yeah, more during COVID time. And we got into the whole virtual tours and all that, but we really saw that people engaged more with the lifestyle videos showing off the sunrise, the sunset, the ocean, the beach, where the building or balcony or view is in correlation to everything else. And people started messaging and telling me like, oh my God, I can't believe that's Bethany. I can't believe that's Rehoboth. I can't believe that's Ocean City. It looks like some crazy vacation spot. Well, it is. And just because we see it all the time and we don't think it's as pretty or beautiful or whatever as it really is, it is incredible, and people see it from all over and they are amazed. And if my videos or pictures or something can bring more people to this area, then I'll take it.
Love it. Okay, cool. What are you most proud of?
What am I most proud of? Other than my son, I'd say
He hasn't done anything.
I'm proud of my wife for pushing out my son.
I did do that. No meds.
Breathe them out. Okay.
It's all in the breath work, baby.
So what else am I proud of? I'm proud of the fact that I am able to keep this thing going and keep being allowed to fail things and keep growing from it, and having someone by my side that is willing to watch me fail, laugh at me fail, and then help me get back up and do it again.
I love that. Do you have a question that you want to ask me before we end?
Did I answer all the questions you would like for this podcast?
Yes. Can you ask me a question as if you're like my podcast host and not my husband, though? Because that was a very husband question.
Okay, let's ask you a question. Why are you actually doing these podcasts?
Okay, I love that. Short answer is I want to be a local celebrity by the end of the summer. And I know that sounds probably vain and people are probably watching this and laughing, but I have lived down here, not as long as you. You've lived down here your whole life, but I've lived down here for 4 years now. And I've always had this sense of community everywhere I went. People that know me from middle school will tell you that I've always tried to form community. But when you form community and you're an adult and somebody in sales like I'm a mortgage lender, people just automatically think you're salesy and want something from you. So I've tried to combat it as many times as I can. There's young professional networks that are just boring and lame. Honestly, I haven't found any that I like so far. Sorry if you're a part of one or run it. Sorry. But local celebrity for me means showing up anywhere and just knowing someone. Every time I go somewhere with Philip in Rehoboth, and this is what was one of my favorite parts when we first started dating, is you always knew someone. If it was the busboy or if it was the owner or if it was the person opening the door, like whoever, leaving the restaurant, sitting at the bar, you always knew somebody. And like I missed that about college and I missed that about where I lived when I was younger. And that's what I want. And so I have now decided to start this podcast because this is not salesy at all. And also, I really want to know about other people's businesses without me trying to feel like I'm getting attention to you or getting facts of them to use, in order to do the sale or to close a deal. So for me, being a local celebrity might sound really crazy, but that is my goal by the end of the business or by the end of the summer. And I can't wait about all of the stories that I hear. And all of the information and the knowledge about the area and the people and business and structure that I'm going to get. And all the implementation that's going to happen with my business too. So that's kind of why I'm doing this. I'm doing it to meet more people. I'm doing it to become a local celebrity. So hopefully I become a local celebrity in 3 months. And I'll write a book if I do, because that's pretty impressive, huh? I know. All right, so give people your handles so that we know where to find car content, drone content, luxury homes, luxury cars, and Philip is showing up as Philip as well. He has been posting, finally, it's been 4 years. He still hasn't posted me as much as I would like, but we're getting there. So plug in all of your socials so that people know where to get all the content.
If you want to see what I do and what I myself am posting on my story and will start posting on my feeds, I am Philip Kopunek on Instagram. That's my first and last name. I am Philip Vincent on Facebook. And then if you want to see car content, it's Coastal Auto Salon. And then we are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everything. And same with Azureye Media if you want to see more drone stuff, more photography, videography, and more of the creative side that goes into all these businesses, because Azureye helps all the businesses that I have because it helps make them all efficient, like I was saying.
Love it. All right, awesome. And stay tuned. Make sure you are following Philip because he is proposing soon. Right?
Yes.
And it's going to be epic, and you're probably curious as to what the heck that means because we're already married. So make sure you follow along, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.